everyone, and welcome back to Creative Living. For this video, it's a little bit different. I made some farmhouse home decor projects using Dollar Tree materials upon your request. And y'all, this was so much fun. I love how this looks and how all three of the projects I made tied in together. So I'll go ahead and show you how I made those. For the first project, I'll be using one of these flower pots that I got out of the garden section of Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to use some acrylic paint to paint it white. In the very center of the flower pot, I had glued some block shaped foam pieces, floral foam that I gotten out of the floral section of Dollar Tree, and I just hot glued those together. Decorate my flower pot, I want to glue rocks on the outside, and I know that hot glue isn't going to stick to the rocks so well, and it would take a very long time to glue each rock with E6000. So I'm going to use this all-purpose caulk that you can get out of the hardware section of Dollar Tree to attach the rocks on the outside of my flower pot. I used to paint interior homes, so I'm very familiar with this type of material. Caulk is very heavy and super dense. It's also extremely moist and pasty. So for this project, I know it's going to hold the weight of these rocks. I just start spreading out my caulk pretty thick so it'll hold the weight of the rocks. So I'm going to do this in sections, and as I spread the caulk, I sprinkle the white rocks, and these rocks are in the floral section of Dollar Tree, and these are actually the larger size ones. I only done half of the flower pot just for now. If I were to do the entire pot all the way around, the weight of the rocks and gravity would cause the rocks to just melt and slide off. I used the remainder of the rocks in the bag as a weight on the inside of the pot, so the rocks on the outside dry facing upwards. It takes caulk several hours to completely dry, so I wait till morning to finish the other side. After I kind of shake it and make sure there's no rocks that's falling off, I just repeat the same steps: spread, sprinkle, and turn, and I let that sit to dry all day. For a stem on my burlap floral, I thought about using the long handle that's on those bamboo butterfly nets at Dollar Tree, but I found a pretty straight stick outside instead, so I just painted it white and stuck it right through the foam and added some hot glue. I wanted to cover the twine to match the burlap arrangement that I'm going to have at the top, so I cut a piece of burlap and glued some of the off-white lace ribbon that in the very center of the burlap, and then I wrapped it around the top part of the flower pot and glued it into place. Next thing that I've done was top it off with some Spanish moss that you can also find in the floral section of Dollar Tree. So for my burlap arrangement, I had to redo this part for the video because the original just didn't stay in focus. And all I have left is some pink burlap for this reenactment part. So I just made small sections of loops in between my fingers, and then in between each loop, I went back and added some hot glue. And the glue will come through on the burlap, so just be careful. And make sure to leave a little room at the bottom of the material so you can spread the material apart at the bottom, giving you a flat section to glue to your round floral foam. And I did make a couple of larger pieces using all 9 yards on a spool, and I would just loop and grab and loop and grab in all directions. And then at the end of my last loop, I left a little length to wrap around the bottom of our arrangement, holding all of our loops into place. And you want to glue that, of course, but be sure to, again, bend the material at the bottom of your burlap material. Make sure you bend it backwards to give you a flat surface so you can glue that to your round floral foam. Dollar Tree also has this off-white lace ribbon. So to give a little contrast, I made some mini buds for our burlap floral by wrapping around small pieces of lace and gluing them together, and then sticking those randomly in the burlap wherever there was a gap, or just needed a little extra something. Going back to the original clip, I do have some video that was in focus. And here I just used one of the round floral foams, and they're shaped like a ball. These come in a pack of 4 in the floral section. I start out by gluing the bigger pieces of burlap on each side, and I made 2 of those. So that the burlap sticks really good to that floral foam, you do have to let the hot glue sit a couple of minutes before you move on to the next step. Then when it's dry, I'll start gluing the small pieces of loops to the foam. And I really, really like the smaller pieces because they're so easy to work with, and they're great for filling out spots around the burlap floral and making it look really nice and full. I think these silver tealight candle holders are pretty common at Dollar Tree. All I done was paint these white with acrylic paint, let them dry, and freehanded my letters. I mean, that was it. And it's so super easy and adds just a little extra character to our farmhouse decor. You can stack them up tall or you can lay them all out. Either way, I think they look so cute. Now, my last piece, I'm going to be using a long length picture frame that I got from Dollar Tree. And I take the backing off and begin working on the frame. Just like the flower pot, I paint the frame white, and when it dries, I add caulk. This time, I spread the caulk all around the frame using a plastic spoon because the edges are so narrow, and I need to get the caulk all in the crease of the frame so the caulk will hold the rocks into place. After I get it kind of thick, I sprinkle the white rocks all around the frame. Then I set it to the side so it can dry overnight. Next, I want to work on the inside of my frame, and I have a huge roll of burlap, and I picked it up at Walmart. This is 30 feet long and 5.5 inches wide. I was going to use craft paper or brown paper bags for this part to match the burlap theme, but when I seen this huge roll for $3.47, I couldn't resist myself. I added Mod Podge on the back of the mat that came with this picture frame, and I flipped it back over onto the cardboard backing. I also added some small drops of hot glue on each corner for extra support. I cut out 2 layers of burlap the same length as the inside of the mat, and I glued those 2 pieces down. The last thing I done before I put my frame back together is I freehanded my letters with white acrylic paint on the outside of the glass. Now, it's okay if you mess up or it takes you a few tries on the letters because this paint wipes right off. Even after it dries, you can rinse it with a little bit of warm water and start all over. So that means you can change your word or words whenever you'd like to. Come morning, I wanted to check out my rock frame, so I shook it a little bit just to make sure I didn't have any rocks falling off, and I thought, I don't know, the frame needs a little extra something, so I just added a little bit of gold in my frame by painting a few of the rocks, and I just placed those randomly around my frame with hot glue. I do want to let you know the hot glue that I used on the rocks I added later on, they ended up falling off over and over again. So I got the hot glue super thick and it ended up sticking, but I would recommend adding Caulk or E6000 for this part, or just adding the gold rocks in when you do the white ones. I used a dowel to make a stand, and I just hot glued it between the top silver hanging tab on the back, so now I can stand my picture frame up. The very last thing that I done was I added some shine to my rock decor. I picked up some clear fingernail polish at Dollar Tree for this project, really just to give the rocks a little extra glue and a sealer. Alright y'all, so that was it, and it was so easy to do, and I love how all 3 of these projects tie in together. This was so much fun to make. I really enjoyed making these, and if you want to see more farmhouse decor, just let me know in the comments, and I'll be sure to do a couple more of these type of projects. So that's it for now, and I hope you all have a very blessed and wonderful week. I'll see you soon. Also, I wanted to let you know that I have a page on Amazon and I just post in crafts and items I use in videos. You'll see burlap, diamond wrap, diamond adhesive, glue, embroidery rings, floral gems, and just a ton of stuff. And I'll be adding more as time goes on. It does help me. I do get a little commission if you shop on my page. It doesn't change the price at all, but I thought this was a great way to have supplies all in one place. Quote comes from Gabby, and hers says, "What you seek seeks you." And that means the things your heart desires and is seeking are seeking you back.